Well, welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. So good to see everybody. I hope you all are doing well. And today I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, who has a noise in the background. I don't know if you got a fan on or something, babe, but I can hear a
No,
noise in the background. Yeah, it's some sort of background noise. So what I might end up doing is hit the mute button when I'm speaking so that the audio comes through clear. Let us know if you guys can hear us okay. Give us a quick yes in the chat if you can hear us all right. And we got an interesting conversation, and I'll let you guys know first and foremost why we do this. Pillow Talk is a podcast that my wife and I created. My wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. My PhD is in finance, and we like to talk about topics that involve love and money in the Black community. So give us a yes. So I want to say hello to Atlanta's Black Wall Street, Damon, Shakita, Otis, Jay Neal, Shanti, I see you. Justin Pender, good to see you as well. I know some of you were there this morning for financial consciousness training that we did. If you'd like to take a look at what we're doing every morning with financial consciousness training, just go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. All right, so let's hop in. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Saturday. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a nice Saturday, and you and I later on we're gonna have a hot date night or date afternoon. We're gonna go see that Jeffrey Wright movie, American Fiction, which is it's ironic that we're gonna see that movie today because American Fiction, in case you all don't know, and first of all, y'all should know that Jeffrey Wright is one of the best actors on earth. Give me a guess if you've heard of Jeffrey Wright, if you know who this brother is. I just want to, really give him his flowers because this is just one of those guys that I don't think will ever get the respect he really deserves. And his movies kind of making that point. And one of the things that he it seems to be trying to show in this film is that Black men tend to get represented in mainstream white media in a way that is not consistent with who we really are. Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Where Black men, if we show up as a thug, if we show up as an idiot, if we show up ignorant, if we show up stupid, if we show up damaged, then we're going to get a whole lot more recognition than if we show up healthy, smart, strong, and capable. And so I bring this point up, and Alicia, I'm gonna pass the ball to you because I've done way too much talking. Because when I think about Jeffrey Wright and this movie coming out, it makes me really think about our topic today, where we're going to talk about this rapper 21 Savage and what he said about women in general. Um, First off, let me just start here by asking you, what do you think about Jeffrey Wright? Let's talk about the good before we get into the nuances of the discussion today.
You talking about Jeffrey Wright?
Yeah,
The
what do you think about Jeffrey Wright? Why do you think the Jeffrey Wrights of the world are important?
Yeah, I mean, definitely important. I think his just acting ability, his ability to really tune into the craft in all of the roles that he's played is just totally remarkable. And I saw him on. He does a lot of HBO special. He does a lot of HBO television, and his roles are remarkable. And it's not necessarily race-based roles. It's not like he plays a stereotypical role, a stereotypical black person or a stereotypical black man in a lot of the roles that he takes on in Hollywood. So he has really distinguished himself into kind of this pigeonhole of what black roles are. And I really admire him for that. Plus, he's just really good at his craft. Absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah. So now that we've sort of mentioned Jeffrey Wright, I want to get to this rapper 21 Savage. Okay, so 21 Savage is a guy who's apparently very talented. I have nothing negative to say about his talent. Clearly, he's a great artist because that's why he got attention, for his work. But he made a statement about women that I thought was really interesting. So I'm gonna read some of this to you. This is from Wrap Up Magazine. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Everybody, right now, real quick, please hit that thumbs up button. Help us with this algorithm because y'all know intelligent black talk does not get the same attention as ignorance and ratchetry. So we need y'all's help. We need you to hit that thumbs up button and share, subscribe, make comments in the chat. That heightens the algorithm. So just say something, say anything. That way we can hopefully create some good black media instead of the nonsense. Anyway, so it says here that basically 21 Savage, he was explaining why men in R&B don't serenade women anymore. He says, "Ain't nobody to sing for." But here's the part where here's where his specific quote came up. And of course, white media was very eager to interview him and hear all this. And it says, "Y'all bitches are some hoes now. Nobody singing to y'all. Everybody sell pussy. Ain't nobody to sing for." And I hope you will excuse my language. Cover your kids' ears. Next time I try to give you a trigger warning. I had to quote him accurately on this. This is a rapper explaining why, why men don't serenade women. That women just ain't worth it. That y'all just some hoes. That you just garbage. That you're not worth anything. Does that bother you to hear a black man, a prominent black man, to go on a white stage and really say that about women? If he's talking about women, we know he ain't talking about Asian women. He ain't talking about Arab women. He ain't talking about Latino women. He's a black man. And people are going to assume he's talking about black women. What do you think, Dr. Alicia?
R&B music. I mean, the origin of R&B music is the serenade of the Black woman. I mean, just think about Luther Vandross. Think about all of those artists that really showcase these songs that catered to love, the development of love between a man and a woman. I know a lot of babies born based on a lot of that music and the serenade. And it's so interesting because 21 Savage, he's born in London. Like, who is he to come from across the pond over to our territory and make comments about us in our territory? So I don't know what world he lives in, but apparently he's had some very unfortunate incidents with Black women. And so therefore he has this bitterness toward Black women, and it comes out. And one thing I have to say about that is that what you believe to be true in your heart, so be it. So if that's his perception, if that's what he believes to be true with women, probably instances that he's had or situations he's had with particular women, he's taken those few instances and he's generalized it to an entire population of individuals. That's a sad day. And it's too bad that he made that statement. I think it comes from a place of pain and hurt that he probably have received from women. Yeah.
Okay. So, I I don't want to be, I'm always trying to find the right balance in terms of not, just dismissing everything that a young guy like him might say. I know 21 Savage is a young dude. He was born in 1992, which I guess makes him about 32 years old. So he's young, but he's not a baby. He's old enough to know the depths of his power and the power of his words. And what I think hits me the most is that I feel like, and let me know if you guys agree with this. Give me a yes if you agree, that the image of the Black woman really kind of gets crapped on. That that they take the most extreme cases. If you go to most of these platforms where they just see, some of these channels should just be called the "I Hate Black Women" channel, where they'll go and they'll find the most extreme behavior from Black women. They won't find the smart ones. They won't find the decent ones. They won't find the classy ones. They'll find the crazy ones, the evil ones, the terrible ones. And then they'll present that as if this is a reflection of what most Black women do and how most Black women are. And I think that is highly disingenuous, because I don't like it when they do it to Black men. So it almost seems like this sort of feeds into that gender war, which is kind of saying, this prominent rapper saying women just aren't worth it because they're low quality. And then the women turn around and they say, see, this is how they talk about us, because the men are garbage too. That doesn't end well. That just, I mean, that's counter. That what is, when they say, what did they say? I think that I remember somebody saying that the way you kill a community is you kill their ability to reproduce. So I want y'all to process this. I want y'all to really meditate on this. That if Black men and Black women hate each other, are they going to reproduce? Are they going to reproduce or reproduce in a healthy way? Are you going to produce families, or are you going to produce litters of children? That's what you produce. Some of y'all producing litters. I hate to say it, but literally, when you got kids spread out everywhere because you got 10 kids with 8 babies mamas, you didn't create a family. You created a litter. You a damn dog. You acting like an animal right now. I don't want to be mean. My wife's the nice one, by the way. She's gonna put it in a better context in a minute. I need you to help me clean that up. But literally, when you out here just making babies everywhere, putting your you know what in any hole within 100-mile radius, or you letting any old man into your bed, and you got all these babies, daddies, and STDs, and kids growing up in trauma. You're not really creating families. You're creating litters of people that are all going to be as traumatized as you are. Why should I not be that pessimistic? Like why should that not concern me? I need you to help me feel better about some of what I'm seeing in our community. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate if you think about it. His name is 21 Savage. I looked up the word savage. Here are synonyms of the word savage: brutal, inhumane, relentless, ruthless, sadistic, violent, murderous, harsh, fierce, destructive, demonic. That's a synonym for the word savage. Wouldn't a savage person say and do all of those things that you just said? Isn't he, in a way, living up to his name? People don't understand what you name yourself has a frequency, and that frequency creates all of the things in which you adhere to. So your life and everything around you is connected to a certain frequency. So if you name yourself 21 Savage, then that's what's going to happen for you. Now, some antonyms. So this is the opposite of savage. What if he named himself 21 Compassionate? What kind of rapper would he be? 21 Gentle, kind, sympathetic, merciful, nice, polite, tender. What if rappers would have changed their name to the opposite of what they're putting out there and said, I'm going to be 21 Sympathetic. Instead of 21 Savage, I'm going to be 21 Tender. How about that? 21 Tender. Then maybe he'll find himself a tenderoni, like Bobby Brown put out there. So, those are the things that you have to think about when we're looking at people who are in the media and people who are propped up on this platform. Why is he on the platform? Why do we care about what he has to say? His name is 21 Savage. So we're going to look at him and we're going to really care about his opinion about R&B music, of which he ain't even from. R&B music, that is Black American sounds. Someone named 21 Savage has a right to tell me who I am and what I should be listening to, and the fact that I'm not worthy to listen to love music from a genre that's not even connected to you.
Well, the thing is, one thing I'll say is, I think that it's okay. I don't think that we should dismiss his perspective because he's British and Black, right? Because you know how much support we get from Black London and all that. When you and I went to London, I did an event in London. You saw how packed out it was, how many people were there. Every event I've ever done in London was sold out because there are really good people in London. And I don't think that most of my Black British friends would identify with the whole idea of even wanting to call themselves a savage. But one thing I will say, though, is that I think it's interesting when you were saying all these antonyms of what it means to be 21 Savage. You talked about being compassionate and tender and everything else. Men who present themselves that way, they're called simps. That's what they're called. They and that right there speaks to the mental illness that exists in the community, because a lot of men, a lot of boys who never learn how to be men don't understand how you can be masculine and soft at the same time, or strong yet compassionate, right? They don't understand. They don't have a full diverse perspective of manhood because all they get in terms of what a man looks like, because a lot of them don't have daddies in the house, is they get the image of the hyper masculine rapper who's pretending to be just hardcore all the time, no matter what. He's always a savage. He's always the asshole. He's always the rough guy, right? And now there are situations where you have to be the rough guy. You have to fight. You have to be that guy, but you can't be that guy all the time. That's not normal. That's not human. So white media, this is the racism, y'all. This is, pay attention. Let me know if you understand the systematic racism of this. They present to a lot of black boys who don't have fathers in the house to teach them what manhood looks like. They present these hyper masculine cartoon characters. They present a guy, who says, I'm so rough, I'm so raw that they call me savage. I'm a beast. I'm the animal. I'm the animal, right? And all this is fake. None of this is real. None of this is real. But the guy shows up. He's got tattoos on his face, tattoos on his neck. He's cussing, screaming. He's calling women bitches and hoes. And little boys grow up and say, "Oh, that. I think that must be what a man looks like." And that ain't no man. That's a character. It's a figment of your man. It's as real as the puppet that I keep next to my desk to make my point. The Negro naysayer puppet. I have this little puppet here. Rappers are puppets, y'all. That's what they are. They're puppets. You and I are friends with D1, and D1 exposed the puppets, and the puppets got mad. They started screaming, hollering, but they didn't do nothing. You know why? The reason they didn't do nothing is because they all fake. They're pretending. That's what. In fact, in his interview, 21 Savage actually said that all of his music is just a fantasy. It's all made up. It's all, I'm pretending. And it's okay for him to say that. And I wish young people would hear that, because what happens is that a lot of young guys take that stuff seriously. And I think with 21 Savage, unfortunately, the reality is that he's spent a lot of time in Atlanta, where right now another rapper, Young Thug, is facing a RICO charge because of the music that was put in because of the messages that were in his lyrics. They're pretty much allegedly confessing to crimes in their music, right? So he's saying, no, it's all fake, it's all fake. We're just puppets, and so what I'm saying is there ain't nothing wrong with being fake, ain't nothing wrong with being a puppet. Rick Ross, his whole persona was made up. You and I both know the real Freeway Ricky Ross, and we know that Rick Ross literally took his name from the real Rick Ross, right? So Rick Ross has openly been okay with people knowing this, and I'm okay with him being okay with it. And I really just think, though, at the same time, that young guys have to understand this ain't manhood. This is not what manhood looks like. Don't let them, these racist folks, present you as if you're a savage, because here's what happens. What do police do? Let me ask y'all this question. Answer me in the chat. What do police do when they run into a savage? When the police got guns and they see you and they see your black son imitating a rapper, got the same tattoos, same walk, same talk, same everything. So they say, "Oh, well, this guy's a savage and he talks like a savage, and this black kid I just saw, he's a savage too. He looks just like the savage." What do police do to savages, y'all? Answer me in the chat. What does the prison system do to a young black man that's a savage? When a young black man's on trial and he's presenting himself his whole life as a savage individual because he want to be tough, he thinks that's what manhood is. What happens to that young black man? Is he going to get a fair trial? Yes or no? What do y'all think? So I just really, and I'm gonna stop talking now, because I talk way too much. But I personally think that we've got to be thoughtful about how these record labels allow black men to be presented to the world, and which black men they even give a voice to. Because ain't nothing about that interview I heard real or reflective of any of the real men that I've ever met in my life. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Why can't we bring back LL Cool J? Remember LL Cool J? He was the lady love.
Love.
But the LL stands for, because we're like, what does the LL stand for? He says ladies love, lover, or whatever. Like, he was one of the most popular. He was my favorite rapper growing up. And he became, of course, he was my favorite rapper because he had all this love in his music, literally love in his music. And I went to his concerts, and he had a big couch on the stage and he brought women up and he serenaded women on the stage. It was a beautiful thing to see him in concert. And why can't we bring some of that back? But no, it's now Savage. And Savage is interesting because that's how they see black people, as savages. I mean, that perception had to have permeated through slavery and all of the oppression. It comes from the fact that they really see us as these savage individuals. And now there's a control of this industry that really promotes and puts out this messaging on social media, on all sorts of platforms, that we're nothing but savages, boys. That's sort of the message that's out there. So of course we care about him, and he's going to be seen and shown everywhere as this 21 savage individual.
Well, and here's the crazy part. This is why, in case you want to know why my wife, who's a therapist, and I, as a finance guy, why we talk about these topics, because money can trick you. Money can really trick you, because what happens is that white folk, the racist white man, will pay your son to be a savage. Your son will come in, your son will grow up wanting to be a rapper or whatever, and he'll come in and say, I want to rap about my experience, growing up in the suburbs and getting ready for college, and the ups and downs of being an adolescent. They're going to say, no. We need you to make money, and we'll pay you an extra $10 million if you go out here and act a damn fool. We want you to get out here. We don't need no black boys who love black women. We don't need no black boys who want to get an education. We don't need black boys who want to live a healthy, productive life. We need you to be a savage. We need you to be as screwed up as possible. We need white folks to hear your music and think that you might run up in their house with a gun and kill everybody, right? Because that's what excites us. Just like the lions in the zoo excite us when the lion roars and all that. As long as the lion's in the cage, we'll pay, and they'll pay money for that. They will pay your son to be a savage. That's why you got to turn your son into an educated black man that has options. You got to train your son so he can be in a position where he says, no, sir, I that's not who I am. I'm not an asset to my community. When I behave that way, I'm an embarrassment. I'm a loser. I don't want to be dead or in prison by the age of 30 years old. I want to be a husband. I want to be a father. I want to be a winner. I want to be a thinker. I want to be a leader. That's not who I want to be. And he has to have options, because some of these guys are clowns that add no value to the community. Now, I don't know 21 Savage personally, but I can tell you, when you run around talking crazy about the women who gave birth to you, what's the point in that? What benefit do you get other than the white man's money to go around and say the most horrible things you can about black women? Because when you are talking about black women, you really are talking about your mother. That's who you're really talking about. And I don't know any normal human being anywhere who runs around talking crazy about their mama. That don't even make any sense to me.
Well, they may have a good reason. I mean, look at his face. To tattoo yourself like that, to do those sorts of things. Maybe I don't know his background, but it is possible. Somebody like that might want to explore the relationship they have with their mother, and maybe some issues in there, because what would drive somebody to say something like that? There's some hatred and pain, like I talked about before, and a lot of people are operating from that place of pain. Now, you mentioned this sort of hyper savage, toxic masculine sort of theme that happens in rap music for men, but it's there's two sorts of swing of the pendulum. One side is this savage creature in terms of rap music, in terms of what they put out about male rappers who put this message out to be violent and beastly and savage-like. But on the other end of the pendulum is this feminization of men in rap music. There is a lot of hyper-feminized rappers who are coming out, such as, you name them, boys. What it is on the other end.
What's his name that has a luxury brand called Ice Cream? Pharrell. He's got the guys all wearing.
What masculine man names a clothing design? Right. Has a clothing design and names it Ice Cream. Like, come on, right?
And they all got the purses now, and then and of course, I mean, just whole team Diddy. I think the Diddy thing's kind of out the bag now.
He's kind of on both extremes, right? He don't like women, clearly.
It is interesting that Diddy's this guy.
But there was another one.
Wait, who?
Somebody in the comments have to say it. Who's the other guy, the rapper guy who is what is his name? He did that Old Town Road. He did the Cowboy.
Oh, Lil Nas X. Well, at least Lil Nas X. But at least Lil Nas X, I don't have as much of an issue with him in the sense that he's just being who he is. Now, I think where Lil Nas X is getting challenged, because I know I saw D1, our friend, he challenged Lil Nas X about the extremities to which he goes to express his sexuality, lap dancing with the devil and putting yourself on the cross like you're Jesus. And D1 challenged him, and I'm gonna give Lil Nas X credit. I talked to D a couple of days ago, and he told me that Lil Nas X actually apologized for offending Christians with his imagery, and I thought that was very mature. I mean, and I respect that, and D respected it too. D said, this is great because this is accountability, and so I think sometimes with artists, one thing I learned the hard way over time is that sometimes rappers need to be educated too. Sometimes they don't know they're being used. They don't understand how white supremacy works, and they figure it out maybe later on. Our friend David Banner, David, he and I have been friends for a long time. Dave was talking about he had to go around the world to realize how they are just destroying the image of the black man all over the planet. And he came back and he said, I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more. Right. So I would say that it's complex, right? But and I think that what generally happens in entertainment, and I think we can agree on this, is that they distort the image of the black male in so many ways. And then they distort the image of black women as well. And then the women who look up to the men have to deal with this idea that these men that you admire because they have money, again, there's that word money. I want to make sure everybody knows why we talk about this. Because these guys have money, you look up to them, and then they turn around and say, bitch, I don't respect you. That's got to be horrible. I don't know. That to me is just kind of shocking. But then even then, that will lead to more respect from women because the men are so disrespectful and dismissive. What do you think? I mean, you're a therapist. I think that's kind of a mental health issue. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mental health issue if you can't, if you don't have a space where you can process all of these terrible things that's happened to you. Instead, you're left alone in those instances, and it starts to fester and it starts to develop a hatred inside of you because you don't have the proper channels in order to process a lot of that stuff. So yeah, that's what develops in individuals, this kind of hate in their heart that it permeates. And I work with a lot of men, boys, who are just like, you know what, this ain't right. I want to be able to heal in a lot of ways. And some of the work that we do, they are able to kind of soften a little bit and bring out the softness in a potential mate. And I think the sad part about rap music, when you have this sort of hyper masculine and you got this sort of feminine sort of quality, because remember, this is in the Willie Lynch letter talks about, it's basically a blueprint for how media treats Black people. You got to read the Willie Lynch. It's a blueprint on how media treats Black men, how they show Black men. Read that document and you will see examples, current day examples in the Willie Lynch. But the sad part about it is that people are invisible. Black men, such as yourself, Boyce, and such as a lot of people who are balanced, who don't have this toxic masculine energy here or hyper feminine energy. Not that there's anything wrong with, I know a lot of men who are part of the LGBT population, but they're who they are. You know what I mean? They're not a stereotype. And the thing is that those individuals who are balanced are invisible. And it's that invisibility. You don't feel recognized. You don't see yourself reflected in our music. You know, the Black music, actually music it's originated with us. That's our music and we have no control over it. The images, the controlling images is out of our hands. And so there's a lot of segments of individuals who are just invisible. And those are the people who I feel sorry for.
Everybody,
go ahead.
Everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. If you could do us one quick favor and please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, if you'd like to check Spotify to find this podcast. We are on Spotify. Just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify. You can find it there. And also, Dr. Alicia, she sees couples and individuals on a regular basis. If you would like to learn more about what she does, you can visit coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Also, to get free information from Dr. Alicia, you could text the word wellness to 87948. Text wellness to 87948 because we need some healing in our community. And Dr. Alicia happens to be certified in trauma, which is big in the Black community. And actually, I wanted to talk to you about this, babe. So when I look at, what goes on in hip hop, I know what I see, right? But I don't want to talk much about what I see. I'd like to know what you see, just as a therapist. When you see this guy who doesn't have good things to say about women. He's had some tough life or death situations. It's not, and we're not here to just talk about him, but just generally when rappers kind of have gone through all this stuff. I'm seeing trauma, lots of trauma responses, things like that. Now you have the certification in trauma. What do you see when you see hip hop and you see this kind of behavior, and what do you think are solutions in terms of helping us to create a healthier environment all around?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that we do need to listen to people like 21 Savage. I mean, we really do need to, instead of judging him and what he had to say and be like, he's stupid and crazy and all of those things, he's showing us what's going on inside of him. Like I said before, it's almost like what experience, like if I was interviewing him and he made that statement, I would say, oh my goodness, stop the presses. You just said something really impactful. Tell me how did you come to that conclusion? What happened? And he needs to be able to tell his story because it's real to him. Now, mind you, we know there's an industry that's going to find someone like 21 Savage. They're going to find them and they're going to plaster them all over the radio. And we know it's an agenda. But on the other end of things, we also know that there's some pain and hurt. And the reason why the pain and hurt is there is that it never got validated. So I would tell me a story about what happened to you that made you draw this conclusion. What happened? And I think that we need to listen, particularly to men who have these sort of views, negative views about women. Listen to them and try to help sort through all of the complex experiences that you've had probably growing up. And I imagine probably currently that's happening in his life. I don't know anything about his life, but I want to be able to process it. Now, people are talking about not having a father in the home, having these things happen. I just want to say there is no perfect childhood. There's no perfect relationship. All of us have things in our past, things that we're going through right now that is not ideal. And it's okay because life doesn't guarantee that things are going to be perfect. Even if it's perfect, it's going to be for 1 minute, but you're always going to have problems and issues. Bad things are going to happen to us. There's just being born lets us know that unfortunate things will happen to you. Okay. And it's okay. The thing is that do you have a place from which you can process all of the things that happen to you? Because guess what? Some of the bad things that happen to you, it's a growth opportunity. Now that I look back on it, boys, everything that happened to me that I didn't like, now looking back on it, I can now say that was the best thing that happened to me. But in that moment, it felt like awful. But I learned from it because I was able to recognize that, oh my God, that person did that to me. I can't believe that happened to me. But I was been able to process it and to explore it, to make meaning of those situations and to grow from it. Because if you're not able to grow from the unfortunate experiences that you have, it's going to keep repeating itself over and over again until you get the lesson, until you're like, I got it now. Lesson learned. And then you move on. Guess what? To another lesson. We all have lessons that need to be learned. So there is no perfect anything. All your background, it doesn't have to define who you are. It can make you powerful.
Well, you know what? One thing that I'll say is that I think Black trauma, the reason it goes untreated and undiagnosed is because I believe we've associated trauma with just being Black. that if you don't have a bunch of crazy trauma responses for everything that happens to you, that you that they say you're not being black enough, or they identify that as just that's black culture, right? Being hyper emotional, hyper violent, just out of control, out of pocket. And so I think black trauma is profitable. I think that that's why they love us. They love us for entertainment, because I've noticed, and think about this, y'all. Notice how many reality shows they have where it features people that literally behave like clowns, crazy people. Christian Rock and Blueface, one of the most popular reality shows out there. Both of those poor people, they are the new Bobby and Whitney. That's what they are. They're both. I think that there's a lot of drugs involved, a lot of mental health issues. Lisa Love mentions the show Baddies. You watch Real Housewives and stuff like that with grown women throwing drinks at each other's head and busting wine glasses upside, just whatever, all kinds of craziness. And so crazy people are entertaining. So I almost think that they enjoy they enjoy watching us sit in the middle of our misery and our trauma. And the goal is not to heal. The goal is not to get better, because if you heal, then that makes you boring, and being boring is not profitable, or being a normal person is not as interesting as being the crazy person who just, the bipolar person who goes off and acts berserk. What do you think about that? Is that a conspiracy theory? But I think that there's a multi-billion-dollar industry leaning on the idea of keeping us ridiculous, crazy, and extreme in order to get enough attention to make money as the entertainment for white folks.
Yeah, it is very entertaining, by the way. And there have been some shows I just get so sucked into, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So it is entertaining, but on the other end, it's exploitative. It's exploitation of the pain that people go through. Like, you see somebody suffering, and what you're going to do is create an entire show on the pain and suffering of these individuals, not offer them any real help, not explain what's happening, not put it into context, just produced. And a lot of that stuff is produced. Some of that stuff is not even real. And then they make us sign NDAs where they can't even tell the public, y'all, some of this stuff is staged for ratings, right? So some of it is true, but it is true that Black people, we're unique because we do have race-based trauma. That's what we go through, living in this world where people look at us like we're savages and treat us that way. And we know that that's not us. So all of these stereotypes and discrimination and prejudices are put upon us. That is traumatic. Experiencing race-based trauma, people have symptoms of PTSD, just experiencing race-based trauma, right? Also historical trauma. So those things really do impact us as a people because that's our history in this country. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I almost feel like the 21 Savage statement about women and him saying, and in case y'all just got here, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the statement this rapper made. And you may not even know who the rapper 21 Savage is. I just keep up with what rappers are doing because that rappers are so influential in Black culture. And I think that this explains why Black culture is struggling the way that it is, honestly, because you're being influenced by the people that unfortunately need help. They're struggling. They're traumatized. They've gone through hell, and they're just sort of laying all that hell onto other people. And so his comment was basically when they asked him why men don't serenade women anymore. His remarks, let me quote, he says, "Y'all bitches are some hoes now. Nobody's singing to y'all. Everybody sell pussy. Ain't nobody to sing for." Now, let's think about what he said real quick. Y'all bitches are some hoes now. I remember. Does anybody remember when Queen Latifah? Anybody old enough to remember when Queen Latifah made this song? It's gonna make us sound like old people right now. But remember the song where there was called UNITY? Y'all remember that? Like let's admit that we're old because we're clearly old fashioned because we actually believe women deserve to be respected. You got to be old fashioned to think that that men should actually admire the women in their community. Maybe that makes me old school to think that the Black family should actually love each other. I don't know. I that makes me a weirdo. And if that's what it is, and I accept that. But y'all remember that, right? When literally people were stunned that their rappers came along that were calling women bitches and hoes, right? But now Now the women expect that. Some, not all, some women expect that. Some women think that makes you soft if you're not calling them bitches and
Well,
which is,
they call themselves the B
they
word.
call themselves that, each
It's
other.
of that's right, I'm that B word, you know.
Yeah, I'm you know, and yeah, that's so interesting to me. And then and so the other, so here's another part of his quote. Let me read a little bit more. Let's dissect this. He says, "Nobody's singing to y'all. Everybody sell pussy." Okay. So he says everybody sells, and I'm just gonna say the word or the P word. Let's call it the P word. So I want y'all give me a yes or no in the chat. All the women only who answer this question. How many of y'all are selling your vaginas right now? Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. How many of you, if I came to your house with a bag of Cheetos and a couple food stamps, would sell me the good stuff? Now, obviously, my wife is here, so I'm just kidding. But really, how many of you are selling your vaginas right now? And I want to make a point. I'm asking a stupid question to hopefully make a point that's not so stupid. Give me a yes or no. All the women in the room who are not selling their cootie cat, say something in the chat. Okay, I see a lot of no's. In fact, I haven't seen a single yes yet. I haven't seen a single yes. And if you say yes, then stay after the chat, and my wife would like to talk to you. My wife would like to help you with your self-esteem a little bit, or maybe we
Hey,
could help get you some, help you get those bills paid.
let me
But anyway,
for you. It's not for me to judge. People do what they want to do. So
right, we're not judging the free market. I'm an economist. I don't judge free market economies. But here's the point. The reason I bring that up is because um the fact that he says everybody sells pussy now, that speaks to his experience. That
yeah.
speaks to maybe the kinds of women that he's spending time with. That speaks to the kinds of women he's choosing. That speaks to clearly a segment of the community for sure. There are women who do sell their bodies, right, to make money, but most women don't. The majority of women don't. And so what we have to always remember, and Snoop Dogg was the first guy who actually brought that to my attention in an interview where he asked him, why do you say this about women and about women? He literally said, well, the types of women we see, that's what a lot of them do, because they're hanging out in the club. They're going, if you're going to the strip club, then your odds of finding a woman who will sell you the good stuff is probably higher than if you're hanging out at the library. I met my wife at the library. I did not meet her at the strip club, right? So I personally think that what happens with hip hop, and this is the big problem with it, is that it really distorts the perception of black people. You have a rapper, remember 21 Savage has a greater likelihood of sitting down with Joe Biden than I do, right? If I sat down with him, I'd ask him serious questions, political questions, economic questions. 21 Savage probably wouldn't even know what to say, right? But he has a greater likelihood of sitting down with the president than I do. And so his positioning, and it's not his fault, but the positioning of a lot of rappers as these de facto leaders of the black community is harming the black community in horrible ways. It's like we're all in a car, and the car is being driven by the person who cannot see. It's being driven by the person who's drunk and blind and crazy and has no driver's license. And the rest of us are sitting in the back seat of this car, and we're all like, dude, turn left or watch out, but nobody will give the steering wheel to the people in the community who really should be taking the leadership role. But that's deliberate. I believe that's intentional, because I think that the goal of white supremacy is to keep black people in a box and keep them in a cage. And one of the ways you do that is you consistently put money into the misrepresentation of black people, which will give you an excuse to ignore them, exploit them, and eventually exterminate them. I think that is what the goal is. What are your thoughts?
It is really something how powerful we are as a people. I mean, we must be really powerful if these systems are putting so much effort into controlling us. If they weren't so worried about our power and what we could do potentially, it would not be this massive agenda to exploit us in this way. Because what if somebody like Malcolm X were to say, you know what, let me take the wheel? What happens to those individuals? When they say, I want to take the wheel, let me, Jesus, take the wheel. What happens, And you get pulled out, and they put yet another puppet. I'm going to call them puppets. Put yet another puppet into the wheel of where we're going as a black community. And nothing is more insulting than to have the president of the United States interview somebody who's not sanctioned by us to be of authority to comment on anything. And I know that the agenda is to try to make them more approachable and more relatable, but we don't care about relating to us. We care about your policies and the things that you are going to do as in your elected office, because it's not just the president, it's just all these elected officials. They come, we know it's an election season, so we know what's going to happen. They're going to be visiting our churches, they're going to now start paying attention to us so that they can and even do some things. They may actually pass them. I've been watching what the Biden administration is doing. They're doing some amazing things right now. It's desperate. I still like some of the things that they're doing, quite honestly. Some of the policies and some of the things that they're doing, I love it. But it's a desperate move to try to get us to go to the polls. Just watch. I cannot wait. Boys, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in this here election year on all the crafty different ways in which they're going to try to mobilize us to get out to vote, because scary Donald Trump might become president again. And it's looking like it looked like it's going in his direction, and all of the things that's going to happen to get us energized.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, it is going to be fun, right? That's when you get to the booties to the polls and all these other shenanigans they like to do, and I think it's going to be, and really it always works, right? The stuff always works. I think that the fact that Black people are so traumatized, we're very easy to scare. That's why I want everybody to pay attention to how often they try to use fear to get you to the polls, because studies show that fear is a bigger motivator than desire, right? So we fear harm more than we desire freedom. We fear the negative more than we desire the positive. And so that is a way to get people to do things. And then I saw somebody else, Lisa Love, mention a very nice comment where she said that, 21 Savage, she was talking about him in particular. We're not picking on the kid. I don't want to do this. But she said that he gets admiration in Atlanta because he has lots of money. And there's that word money. And you guys know, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking, which you can find on Amazon or Audible. And in that book, one of the things that I was sort of warning you all about consistently is being very careful about using money as a metric of Black success, or using money as a metric of attraction, or using money as a metric of whether or not somebody is a good person or a bad person. Right now in Atlanta, unfortunately, there's another rapper, very popular rapper, it's about the same age as 21 Savage, named Young Thug. And Young Thug is fighting for his life. The poor guy, he's in the middle of a RICO charge, which is very, very serious. And this poor kid might end up going to prison for the rest of his life. And there were probably people involved in that RICO charge who wanted to be around him because he had money. Maybe women that wanted to date him because he had money. Donald Trump is in Georgia facing a RICO charge along with Young Thug. A lot of people wanted to hang out with Trump because he had money. He was known as the money man. A lot of people worked with Trump. They believed in Trump during the January 6th situation because the man had money. The man had money and power, and they said, I want to be next to the money and I want to be next to the power. And they didn't think about, like, what kind of pain can this cause me? What are the risks of what I'm doing? Do I really want to align with people just because they have money? Well, this is real simple. Your grandma could have told you this. All money ain't good money, y'all. I hope you understand this. All money ain't good money. So ultimately, I think that the habit that some of us have, I've seen this amongst a lot of women, where they see a guy that has some money and some fame or whatever, and they say, oh, that's a good catch. I encourage you to go a little deeper and say, well, why is he a good catch? Or do an experiment in your head. Say, if I took away all his money and I looked at him as a human being, and I look at this man who, let's we could just use this 21 Savage thing as an example, right? So you got this guy who, first thing he tells you, or better yet, let's start with women, so I don't make it sound like I'm picking on men. You watch shows like Real Housewives, and where men get caught, we don't get caught with the money, we get caught with the beauty. But the money matters too, because if you watch shows like Real Housewives, you'll see these really low quality women are behaving in a low quality fashion. How about that? It's not that they're low quality people, but their behavior is very low quality. but we're okay with it. We admire these people. Why? Well, because she's got a little business going on, or because she's on TV and she's famous, or because she's wearing a fancy dress. But really, she's behaving like a Neanderthal. Literally, if you take away the money, take away the fancy dress, take away the business, take away the fame, there's nothing admirable about a person who is simply a dastardly human being, who is acting like a damn cave monkey. Like, ain't nothing attractive about a cave monkey, even if you put a dress on it. And so the same thing can be said about some of the hip hop artists. We see all the material trappings, we see all the symbolism. You're the one who taught me, actually, babe, about how symbolism affects your subconscious mind. So look at this image of rappers, right? Look at all the symbolism in this image. All the symbolism. I'm the man. Why? Well, why are you the man? Well, look at my Jordans. Look at my rings. Look at my watch. Look at my jet airplane. Look at my fancy car. But you're not looking beyond the symbolism. You're thinking on level one. You need to go to level two. You need to have some financial consciousness. We do financial consciousness training every single morning. I hope you'll consider joining us. We meet every morning at 10 a.m. drboyceelevate.com. That's where you can go. drboyceelevate.com. But in our financial consciousness training, what we talk about is how you can be conscious and look beyond the simple stuff, look beyond the shallow, look beyond the material. So when I look beyond the material, and you showed me that you got on Gucci and Armani and gold and diamonds and jets and cars and all that, I'm gonna also look beyond that, and I'm gonna say, wait a minute, hold on. I also see that you've had sex with 3,000 women, so I might be catching an STD. I see babies' mamas everywhere. That's gonna create stress and drama in my life. I see that, oh, you got a pound of cocaine in the front seat. That's how you got all that stuff. Well, I see a RICO charge coming in my life because you're hiding crack in my attic, and I might go to prison for that. I might get shot by one of your enemies because you out here and taking penitentiary chances every day. I see financial irresponsibility. I see ignorance, right? And I really don't know if we have the consciousness. And this is my point, everybody. And I'm going to let my wife get the last word. I encourage you to have the consciousness to look beyond the simple stuff. You know, a guy being rich and famous, it does not make him a good guy. That does not make him, that does not mean you want to be his friend. That does not mean you want to be in his life. I know a lot of these celebrities. A lot of these celebrities have terrible lives.
Mhm.
I had a talk with a rapper one time. I'm going to finish on this point, babe. I'm going to let you get the last word. I had a talk with a rapper who was very close to one of the rappers that got shot out in California. I forgot the brother's name that got killed in California. He got shot at the Denny's. Y'all remember that? There was a rapper who got killed at the Denny's because his girlfriend texted his location, and they rolled up on him and shot him in the middle of a Denny's. Give me his name so we can say his name. I don't remember his name. Anyway, I talked to a rapper who was working with him, who was actually about to blow up, who was doing music with this guy right when he got killed. So he was really devastated about it. And we took PNB Rock. That was his name. Thank you very much for sharing that. RIP to him, by the way. He's a very good guy from what I understand. I never met him, but I heard he's a good guy. But I was talking to this young artist, and I said, I know you see the fame and you see the money of being a hip hop star, but do you see everything outside of that? We were having a financial consciousness exercise where I said, I need you to look beyond that. I need you to understand that there are rappers that you admire because they're very successful. They are where you want to be. They got what you want to have, but their lives are terrible. Their lives are terrible. I mean, you saw the rapper Young M.A. Young M.A. actually, she's one of the best rappers in New York. She blew up off of my Facebook page. I'm not making this up. Literally, I put her on my page. That's when she got her first record deal. She said this in interviews, so I'm not making this up. So I watched her blow up, and then I saw her mental health deteriorate. I saw her get to a point where she was getting hospitalized for mental and physical health issues or something. She was not well. And it didn't surprise me because I said, how can you be well? And this is where I want you, babe, to pop in because I know I'm talking too much. Forgive me. That's my mental health issue is that I run my mouth too much. But you're a mental health expert. And here's what I see from a mental health standpoint. And I want you to kind of put the icing on this cake. What I saw with Young M.A.'s lifestyles, I didn't just see the money and the fame, whatever. I've experienced those things. I saw liquor and weed. I saw violence, going to clubs where people are trying to kill you. I saw possibly drug issues. I saw sexual irresponsibility. I saw a lot of the headaches that come with being the biggest rapper in New York. That's what I saw. I saw a lot of things in there that would make her unhappy. That was what my financial consciousness led me to say. And it led me to conclude I would not want her life. I would not want to be where she is. So what would you say in response to what I just said? I know I said a lot, and thank you for letting me get that out. Now I'm going to shut up and let the expert talk, please.
You know, that's so hilarious. So what you're saying in a nutshell is that these people had money, but they did not have wealth. And wealth doesn't is not necessarily tied to how much money is in your bank account. Wealth is tied to, okay, being able to live comfortably, but a wealthy person is somebody who has a great relationship with the people around them. And in order to do that, you have to grow up. You can't have childish behavior. And on those reality shows that you're talking about, basically it's adults behaving like children, just like almost like they need to have a teacher in there to say, no, 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 we take turns, we say excuse me, we say sorry, everything you learned in kindergarten. Those shows forget all of that. So it's really childish behaviors to be reactive and to be petty and to go back and forth with somebody like that. That's not wealth. Those people are not happy. I wouldn't want to trade places with them in their lives for all the money in the world. Not enough money in the world that make me trade places with these people who are empty vessels, who can't do anything for anybody. And the thing with Young M.A., I do remember her having a really deep conversation. She's really smart, by the way. So she has something in her. And she talked eloquently about the loss of her brother and the people who were really close to her. Yes. And she started tearing up. And you could see the sorrow that she carries around with her. And see, you got to understand, creatives feel everything. You know, they are sensitive to things around them, and that's what makes them wonderful creators, because they feel like they have this message that they need to get out to the public. So you'll find a lot of people in Hollywood and a lot of people in the music industry who have this past, you know, where they have a lot of pain and loss and all of these things. They tend to gravitate toward wanting to become famous, right? What's the psychology of people who want to be famous? And it is, in the backdrop of it, is that they felt they weren't heard and listened to early as a child. So now they have this big stage, and yes, I can finally have a captive audience to listen to my pain. So what you see in a lot of the music is, to me, is a wonderful, brilliant capsule of the pain that a lot of people experience. So I see it with a different set of eyes. I see it where Young M.A. really rapped about a lot of the loss, a lot of the hurt that she went through. Some people really put it into their music. And if they're able to do something with it, it's a therapeutic experience. It's not therapy, but it can be a therapeutic experience to have this creativity in art form, in all different types of form, to be able to mobilize what they went through by putting it into creative form, of which other people who've been through similar things can relate to. You know, some of this stuff is relatable, because let's just face it, trauma is rampant in our community. So when we see trauma plastered all over, a lot of people will buy it. They're going to download it. They're going to listen to it over and over again because they relate to that trauma. So that's why that stuff sells too. I mean, yes, it's promoted by this industry, but it's also very relatable. Some of their content is very relatable. Some of the things that they write about and talk about, they're like, God, that's happened to me. Oh my goodness. You know, music is very emotional in a sense, like that the sounds and the lyrics and stuff, we can relate to a lot of what's happening. So, I mean, I see it as, wow, what an outlet for your pain.
Well, you know what? I agree 100%. And I hope that this has helped those of you that have listened. I hope that whatever pain you've experienced or that you're going through, you realize that you can get help out there. There are people that can help you. There are ways to work your way out of that pain. I think there's a lot of pain in our community. There's plenty of pain to go around, and we don't want you to be in pain. I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy, and I want you to do well. And so if we can help you, Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She is a licensed therapist, a full professor of social work. She sees lots of clients individually. She sees couples. She sees families, all that stuff. So you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. Also, you can get some free material from Dr. Alicia by texting the word wellness to 878-87948. I said 89748. Actually, that's 87948. I get that wrong. So let me change that number because you know how long I was doing it wrong. But it's 87948. So text wellness to 87948, and Dr. Alicia can send you some stuff that will help you in your wellness journey. So anyway, guys, it was great to talk to you. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for this episode of Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify. If you'd like to follow us on Spotify, just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify. And also, if you'd like to join us for every morning, we do financial consciousness training. If you'd like to join us, we've done 30 straight days, or actually 20 straight days out of 30, where we are just really drilling into financial consciousness and what that looks like. If you'd like to get instant lifetime access to all the trainings that we've done and the live trainings as well, just go to drboyceelevate.com. You can share one membership with your whole family. That's drboyceelevate.com. And also, if you're interested in things like investing and wealth building, I believe that wealth is health, and health is wealth. If you'd like to learn about stocks that I'm buying or get access to our $5 a day investing plan in the Black Business School, we got a plan. We always have a plan. We don't just talk about things. We actually use our scholarly training to present solutions that will help you. Just text the word stock to 87948. Text stock to 87948. And that's the same number where you can text wellness. So those are actually two different places you can go to get lots of free resources. And so anyway, that's it, guys. So if you can hit that thumbs up button on your way out, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Thank you very much, babe. I appreciate it. It was great to talk to you. And also, by the way, y'all, we're about to go see this Jeffrey Wright movie today, American Fiction. And American Fiction is a great film, in my view, because it addresses exactly what we talked about, how the black man is more likely to be accepted by white media if he presents himself as a buffoon or presents himself as savage or ignorant or crazy. And Jeffrey Wright is the perfect guy for that role. He's one of the best actors in America. And I just love the concept of him, pretending to be whatever stereotype they want you to be. But I don't want y'all to be the stereotype. I want y'all to be whatever you're supposed to be. You need to be whatever God meant for you to be. Don't just be what the man is asking you to be. And that's going to require some consciousness to get there. So we're going to do a review on this film, let you know what we think. And God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. And we will see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.